Hello and welcome to what promises to be a very, very exciting conversation today. The gentlemen who will be joining us shortly aren't just very fine, very accomplished actors, they're also very successful producers with impeccable taste. They've been at the forefront of some big changes in the movie business. They're early adopters and champions of streaming services, and currently they're navigating the new media. So let's take a quick glimpse at some of their recent work.
This war's been running 8 years now. Given your reputation and your formidable drive, our hope is that you're the man who will get the job done.
What is this new direction? We build Afghanistan into a free and prosperous nation.
All the times they are changing.
दुनिया में दो तरह के लोग होते हैं, winners and losers. लेकिन जिंदगी हर लूजर को वो एक मौका जरूर देती है। और ये तो सिर्फ ट्रेलर है, पिक्चर अभी बाकी है, मेरे दोस्त।
So without any further ado, join me in welcoming Hollywood's Brad Pitt and India's Shah Rukh Khan.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you. You know, I'm just going to say it because I'm pretty sure everyone in this room is saying it in their heads. This is a pretty incredible moment. Brad Pitt and Shah Rukh Khan, two of the biggest global superstars. Gentlemen, this is a very special moment.
All right. Yeah. Good on you.
Brad, this is not your first time to India, is it?
No, we actually shot a mighty hard here. So we were here for a few months and got to explore a lot of the country, and it was a fantastic experience. Good to be back here now.
There are locals in Pune who got used to seeing you on the bike and
Yeah.
you waving out to them.
Yeah, it was good. I got to scoot around on an old Royal Enfield and put a helmet on and just get out amongst the masses. It was really nice.
You know, it's interesting, both of you actually started your movie careers around the same time. Brad, Thelma and Louise, your big breakout hit, released in 1991, and that led to this exciting long career. Shah Rukh, Deewana, which was your first film, big runaway success, released in 1992. What's the secret to staying relevant, successful, and influential for 25 years?
Whew, you want to take that one?
No, you.
Because I have no idea.
Looking at you.
I would say luck. I say a little bit of luck, but I also trying to reinvent. You know, constantly trying to look for something new, something different, and I, you know, fortunately, I guess we were able to survive our mistakes along the way, and I think just staying relative.
Yeah, mainly that. I think, you know, to be able to survive your mistakes, and mistakes were normally things which are very close to your heart. You know, and if they went wrong somewhere down the line, the only thing that keeps you going is the fact that you're still surviving. And you try and do it as often as you can, as much as possible. And I think he, more than me, would tell you that, you know, to be such a successful star around the world, there are a lot more expectations from you. And you need to keep it very simple then. You don't need to be trying to work for those expectations or keep on doing the stuff that people expect of you. You keep on doing what started you off, which is being relevant, being novel, trying to, you know, kind of reinvent yourself, and the simple things which made you want to be an actor in the first place.
You know, you both have enormous success, but also enormous pressure. How do you balance, or how do you really combine artistic integrity with commercial success? Because that's a huge pressure on both of you, I'd imagine.
I say you just have to make sure you get time for yourself, time for your friends, time for your family, and let the next idea percolate. It's not so difficult to achieve a balance. I'm able to compartmentalize pretty well the private life and then the public life. How about you?
I do that too completely. I mean, as far as work is concerned, I think what he says is actually the crux of it. You know, if you can be leading your public life, which is on sets also, invariably. I think if you can protect it in terms of that from your private life and your private life from the public life, I think when you go back home and you're leading the regular stuff that you're supposed to do, in whatever form, with family, friends, I think it just keeps you kind of grounded. You know, like my kids, I mean, more often than not, don't like my films. And that's nice.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, they whoa, oh, this one was so boring, Papa. So, you know, it's like, it's not the biggest thing in the house, Papa's film to do well. It is not a special thing. It should not be a special thing with family and friends. And invariably, you know, we make friends even in the film industry. And then everybody kind of just starts pushing you along and saying, no, this was the best thing you did. Yeah, it was different. I think the real friends in the film industry also tell you, or keep it simple and keep it normal. I think that's what actually really helps you and takes the pressure off. That at home you're a nobody. And as long as you're a nobody with your friends and at home, I think you can be a big star like Brad Pitt outside.
You know, I would imagine that it's not just me. Everyone in this room, I would imagine, wants to know, how do you pick the films that you do? How do you decide what you want to do next as an actor?
Well, for me, it depends a lot about, you know, who's telling the story. You know, it usually starts with a script, a good piece of writing, and the decision to go investigate that. And then I want to surround myself with filmmakers I respect, because we are ultimately putting ourselves in the director's hands, and there, then you have a real freedom to go explore, to go out as far as you can go, and you know you're in really good hands. So, and at the end of the day, after, I don't know about you, but after doing it so long, I want to do it with friends and people I like, and that seems to be more important, the people I surround myself with, than anything else.
I've said it so often, it's exactly the same thing. I've even said it before that I sometimes don't even want to know the story, as long as the people who are telling the story are people I enjoy working with. As a matter of fact, because now in India there's so many new filmmakers, I don't know them. I haven't gotten to know them personally. And it's not just doing it for a friend, but I try to spend a couple of years with them before I start the project.
Sure.
You know, just to be comfortable. I think, you know, after 20, 25 years of work, what matters to you most is the people who are making the film for you, and the people that you're trusting with whatever little bit of talent you have. And you say, okay, this is in your hands, now try and make me look the best you can, and I will completely trust you. And you can only do it with people that you're, you know, kind of easy with, or friends, like you said. I've done that for the last 15 years. I've really never really worked out of what a lot of people call the comfort zone. But it's not the comfort zone. Or maybe you require that comfort to be able to tell a better story.
Good to have talented friends, right?
Yeah, that's important.
Sure. How long is a shoot on a Bollywood film?
If it's an action dancing film, about 120 days, 140 days.
Yeah.
Sometimes longer if things go wrong. And if it's a simpler film, then about 70 days.
That's about the same with us, but we don't have dancing.
Right.
Yeah.
I would never make it in Bollywood because I can't dance.
No.
I can't.
We'll make you dance in Bollywood.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We make everyone dance in Bollywood.
I think it'd be the first film and the last.
Do your roles seep into your life? Do they change you? Do they stay with you, or do you discard them?
I guess they kind of feed each other. Your individual life and what you're investigating in a film, it has to in some way. But I quickly discard them and move on to the next. Move on to the next project.
I use a term which I describe a lot of film work, and I call it demotional. I'm extremely emotional when I'm doing it, and then I'm completely detached once it's over. I need to just move on to. I can't stick on to something, and I've been asked many times, playing this character role, has it changed your life? No, it hasn't. You know, because like he said, it feeds off your experiences, and then you try to put them into a character or a role, and then you just move on. It's your experiences finally. Of course, the quirks that you put in, or any mannerism that needs to be put in, or research into a biopic kind of space, all that, yes. Those I think are, you know, just technicalities as an actor that you learn and work and prep for. But beyond that, no. I do one, and I take a 2-hour-long bath on the Friday the movie releases. Try it, it works. 2 hours, and then by Monday I'm through with it. I don't want to be a part of it anymore. Yeah.
Was there one character that was just hard to wrap your head around, one character more than others, that was difficult to get into?
I'd ask him about Benjamin Button.
Sure.
I'd ask him about a film, I forget the full title, 12 Monkeys?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I found you amazing in that one.
Yeah, thank you.
It was fantastic. I don't know how many of you have seen that film.
Yeah.
He was mind-blowing in that film. I mean, that's where I became a big fan of Brad as an actor. Burn After Reading.
Of course.
And there's lots of them, hundreds of them. But I would ask you, just continue with that one. Did Benjamin Button or any of these films?
Those were all, they took especially 12 Monkeys, took
Yeah,
a
12
lot
Monkeys
of
was awesome.
insanity, locking myself in a room for a couple of weeks and just seeing how crazy we could get. But no, it's just part of the, I would call them all challenging, but it's what we do. I wouldn't say any were difficult. Some, landed better than others, but it just seems part of the process, part of the craft.
I'm going to speak for most of the fans, and I'm going to ask you about Fight Club, Tyler Durden.
No, that was just fun. That was just fun. Yeah. Anytime something's irreverent and it's a great piece of writing and a dear friend of mine, David Fincher, directing, and Edward Norton. No, we mainly just laughed. Much like this one, actually.
Shah Rukh, for you, particular character that was hard to wrap your head around?
Because we have singing and dancing in our films, more often
I can't sing either.
You can't. I also don't. I'm Mini Vanelli. They sing it from the back. I just. Because they have singing and dancing, it does become as you know, the commercial films, the singing and dancing does come in a set piece, and it's just part of no storytelling. You just have to do it because you have to do it. Maybe in some films, in the background. So. You really can't, a lot of people say this, and maybe I'm going to be speaking against them when I say this, but you can't really get into a character if you have to sing and dance every 20 minutes in a film. It's not a musical, it's not been laid out like that. You're not playing, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Bob Fosse. You're not, it's not all that jazz. Somewhere down the line, it's just a song and dance.
Right.
I don't know, I'm sorry to say, how to dance in character. How would a X-person dance in this? We always do our regular dancing. So it becomes difficult mainly when I'm playing a more realistic role. Like say, my name is Khan. But then again, those are the technicalities. It's not something that you can't do. It's challenging maybe. You spend some time, prep it as well as you can and hope it lands well, like you said. But no, I can never say it as an actor that, oh, this was so difficult. It took the life out of me. No, I don't think there's been a role like that. All of them are nice. I find the ones which are regular roles, those more difficult to play.
Right.
Especially in the Indian commercial scenario that you're just a regular guy and playing it. If they have crutches and stuff, then it's easier to play, I think.
How long do you have to rehearse for a dance number, a set piece?
I started off, there was a movie many years ago when I started, in 94, 95, I released a film called Bazigar. And that was the first time they had a dancing number for me, like a set piece with a lot of dancers. And I went for rehearsals. I went for 4 days of rehearsals, and day and night. I used to go 2 in the afternoon, finish at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I thought I'll kill it. And because the song that I'd done before, I was miserable at on the sets. It was pathetic. And then I came back after 4 days and nights and did the shot, and I was exactly at the same level of misery, and I did it as badly. And so about 20 years, 15 years back, I decided never to rehearse.
Really?
Because I can't get better. So I just, as soon as I come on the sets, I just request the choreographer. I start touching their feet, I say, I'm going to just do it this much only, take one shot. So they normally shoot with me, hello, and that's it. So I said, please
That's not
don't.
true. He's actually being very modest.
That's
He's very
good.
good.
No,
that's
You've also invented the Shah Rukh Khan style, haven't you? I mean, there's
There's a style that is kind of famous now where I put my arms out
Yeah.
and I do nothing. I just put my arms out.
It's very
I just do
smart,
Nothing.
smart.
So whenever anything goes wrong in dancing, where there's those complicated steps where you have to do all that. So when they do that, what hip hop, bip bop, what lock and pop. So when they do that stuff, I say, you know what, my character would just stand like this. And they go, yeah.
I'm gonna try that in life.
Yeah, please, just stand there. That's it.
I'll tell you a story. One time in a film, I had to be an organist, play an organ. An organ, you're playing with all 4 limbs, hands and feet. I couldn't even get the piano part. Fortunately, they shoot the hands and they cut down and shoot someone else's feet. But I couldn't even get the piano part. I couldn't get both hands. So what we did was, I had the bass line with the left hand. And what we did was, we got another guy who could play an organ, whose hand looked close enough, and we cut a hole in the back of my jacket, and he slid his hand through, and I just did this. and he made the thing work. It looks great.
Go on, tell us which movie so we can go back and look.
Tree
at
of Life.
Tree of Life. Of
Yeah.
course. Brad, you said to Associated Press.
Just so that you know, if Badshah, all those, now that we are opening up and letting out all
Yeah.
the secrets, yeah. So all those card tricks are done exactly the same way. I had this magician from Bangalore. He put his hand through my jacket. He did all of them.
The magic of movies. Brad, you said to Associated Press recently that as you're getting older, you're gravitating more to the producing side than in front of the camera because shooting a film is a big commitment. Is that a hard balance to strike? And Shah Rukh, can you relate to that?
Well, I was saying, you know, anymore as I get older that you know, it's a big commitment. You know, they're long days. I don't know about you, but we're definite 12-hour days, if not sometimes 14, even 16 if it goes long. Yeah. And because you got to get the shot, and it's a big commitment. It's a big time away from family, and more I find myself doing less and less and concentrating more on, or at least you know, on the production side. That's been growing, and I just find it really rewarding to be able to, with my partners, be able to open up doorways for other filmmakers we really respect, to make films and tell their stories. In putting those out in the world, I find that a special. I find that a real gift to be able to do.
I think, like, if you start off from the concept of wanting to tell stories, and if you can last as long as, say, Brad has done, and if you have partners, like, say, Jeremy and Didi, I have some friends in my company and partners. I think that's a natural way to go, that you will want to keep telling stories, and there only has so many stories you can tell as an actor. And as age goes, I mean, you can't honestly be doing the roles that you would love to now. But you can't. It's nicer if you're able to give that opportunity, chance, platform, and relive those things as a storyteller, you know, while being a producer.
You know, both of you have had incredible success as producers. Brad, your company, Plan B, was behind two recent Oscar-winning titles, Moonlight and 12 Years a Slave, among others. Shah Rukh, you've delivered the blockbusters in Om Shanti Om and Chennai Express, but you've also stuck your neck out and taken risks with films like Ahsoka and Paheli and Ravan. How do you pick what you want to produce? Is there a formula to it? And is there a different approach?
No, there's not a formula. I mean, you know, one, you pick really good people to work with, people who are smarter than you in many areas. And my partners are sitting right over here, Didi Gardner and Jeremy Kleiner. We started probably about 12 years ago, roughly, a little more. And just one, I mean, we're figuring it out as we go along, but you know, we were all lovers of film and wanted to, you know, just tell stories that were relevant to our time, and again, you know, promote filmmakers that we really believed in, and was a joy to work with, and to you know, help clear the way so they can bring their vision. And it's that mandate that has worked really well for us and has been really rewarding for us as an experience, and I think we'll stay on the, you know, that same kind of trajectory.
Again, like you said, you get people around you who are smarter, or at least have a different vision of filmmaking than just you, and you know, and you get along with them, and you kind of sit together and work out. Initially, when I started, you know, I'm not from here. To become a producer was a big leap forward, but the bottom line was, there were a couple of films I was part of initially, and nobody wanted to produce it. And I won't name some of them which got produced because I was not just part of it, but kind of helped them with other producers, because there's some really wonderful films. But my choice was that whichever film nobody wants to produce, let's produce it. And I was sitting with my partners, Aziz and Jui once, and we were making a film, and we were thinking of partnering with someone. We had gone and pitched it to a lot of people, and everybody kind of said, not this, why don't you do the one like the last one? You know, that was successful. And we went on. And there was a gentleman who used to always sit in those meetings who had nothing to do with films. He was a construction company owner, had nothing to do with cinema. And he used to come and sit in the meetings. He's Aziz's friend. And he turned down and said, I like to produce it. And we said, but you make buildings. He said, but you guys are so good. I love what you do. And I'd like to produce it. He said, you lose money. He said, it's all right to lose money on you. And I think it just came across to us, if there is someone who can lose money on us, let's try losing ourselves. And you say, okay, you know, let's just go and make the films nobody else wants to make. So it kind of started off like that. But lately, yes, I think my production company takes care of, try to make a writer film. We keep it very simple, try and earn some money, and then actually make the films that nobody else wants to make, but you want to tell the story.
Brad, I think you will appreciate, and I'm hoping Shah Rukh will back me up here, that the Indian film industry is really a different kind of beast in that it's one of the few cinemas that has succeeded in resisting the massive influence and the onslaught, if you like, of Hollywood. American movies do very well in India, but we have a very vibrant film industry, and the predominant film industry is the Indian movie industry. Shah Rukh, is there any fear of that changing?
I've said it for the last 10 years. If we don't hone up in a few areas, and I would say it again, especially in script writing, screenplay, marketing, and professionalism, and technology. If these 5 areas, we don't quickly adapt ourselves to the way not only the studios, but indie filmmakers, small producers make films in Hollywood, we would get taken over by Hollywood. Because there's no denying the fact. They make some wonderful films. They have wonderful international stars. The language is becoming less and less of a barrier. With even more digital platforms, the access to them, the comparison is now right out there. I mean, you just have to have a telephone to be able to see any film that you wanted to see. It's not like going down to the embassy to see the French film or an American film when you were young.
Right.
So I think if we do not take on some of the wonderful things that Hollywood has done before and learn from them, adapt them here, especially the professionalism part and technology, there is a big fear.
Oh, that's interesting to hear because from afar, I mean, we have great respect because you do have your own film language, you have your own gestalt that's created, it's homegrown, and enjoyed over there. So it's really interesting to hear about at least even the technology side. It makes sense. It just would have never occurred to me.
Yeah, because we have such wonderful stories here to tell, but we're not telling them in the way that I think we get really happy just being a fad sometimes. That old Indian film, you know, singing, dancing, and everybody enjoys it all over the world. But if we are able to understand the language Hollywood and the Western cinema speaks in, and not change our own way of presenting a film.
Right.
I mean, singing and dancing has to stay, so that we keep Brad away from Bollywood. Otherwise, but I think if we are able to somehow get that writing part and technology in, it's important. I think it's extremely important. I think.
I find it really interesting, you know, different cultures now cross-pollinating ideas and styles. And we just had a great experience producing a film, another Netflix film called Okja with Bong Joon-ho, the South Korean director. And it just became something we would never be able to create because it's from his mind. We're definitely seeking out more of those experiences, and I think we're going to see that more in the global community of filmmaking. That's going to be, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of it.
We're going to, at this point, take a look at another clip from War Machine, and then I'm going to bring out another guest.
Sean's the writer from Rolling Stone. He's been doing that profile piece on you. He's going to be tagging along for a couple days.
Thanks for having me, sir. It's a real privilege.
Rolling Stone.
Yes, sir.
Just make sure I'm on the cover.
Well, it's between you and Lady Gaga, sir.
Well, put me in the heart-shaped bathtub with her. Rose petals. Happy to share.
Brad, stop joking.
Deadly serious, son. Put me on the cover.
Okay, we're very lucky to have with us today the director of War Machine, David Michaud.
Come on, bud.
All the best for you.
Thank you.
And writer.
Thanks for having me. I'm the surprise
You're the
guest.
surprise. You're the
I'm the
surprise
surprise guest.
Yes, you are. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
Brad, David, why was Netflix the right partner for War Machine? Brad, you've said that without a delivery system like Netflix, this movie wouldn't have got made, or if it did get made, it would have been at 1/6 the budget only. So why was Netflix the right partner?
Yeah, I may have exaggerated, maybe 1/3, but it wouldn't have been to the scope and scale. It's because the way the studio system is, the business model of the studio system now in Hollywood, it just can't support risky films like this, films at this budget, certainly, because of prints and advertising being so high and the ancillary costs being so high. They're just not getting made right now. So for me, the beauty of Netflix or a delivery system like Netflix for the film viewer is now more films are getting made. More interesting filmmakers are getting to the plate, telling their stories, which means a greater variety of films for us to view. And so for me, it's this kind of renegade new resurgence in filmmaking that I grew up on from the, mainly the 70s, even the early 60s. And it's a really exciting time for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting for me because, I made my first film, Animal Kingdom, came out in 2010. Mm-hmm. I went to film school back in the mid-90s, and it was right at that time. It was after Quentin Tarantino's first couple of movies. There was a whole bunch of guys like him and Paul Thomas Anderson and David O. Russell and Wes Anderson and David Fincher. And they were all making what looked like really bold, unusual, original movies inside the studio system. And then my first movie came out in 2010, and it had all gone away. The studios weren't making the kinds of movies that I thought I wanted to make, and I wasn't sure how I was ever going to get to make them. And then suddenly, this Netflix window opened for me that was kind of extraordinary. I mean, War Machine is exactly that kind of movie that it's bold, it's complex, but it's wild. It doesn't feel to me like how the movies feel. It's exactly the kind of movie that the traditional Hollywood studios aren't really making anymore. It's a war film, so it was never going to be cheap to make. And so I just feel lucky that I'm that, I didn't waste my time going to film school all those years ago.
Shah Rukh, in a market like India, how do you feel has Netflix impacted or will perhaps energize the existing landscape?
Exactly. This way that we're always going to be tied down by this, cinema release films, which have to be of a certain setup for them to get back the audience that you want, and the weekend collections, the weekly collections, the monthly collections. I think Netflix will offer you an opportunity that this story needs to be told. It will be successful also, inshallah. But somewhere it doesn't have the pegs that are expected of a film that should come in a theater and take over the weekend. That's how art will grow, and 100% the business will follow. So I think Netflix in the next coming years, 5 years, giving opportunities to so many directors. And I think like in India, I find every household has a singer.
Yeah.
I think every household has a filmmaker. We've been making films for so long. Everybody wants to make a film.
Sure.
And I think this is just the right time for all of them to come on board. Have opportunities with companies like Netflix and say, okay, I don't need anybody else. I just need this platform, have the freedom, and get a little bit of money to make a film. Everybody's not going to be wanting to make that big film, but just have the freedom. I think the most important
so it would democratize the filmmaking process then?
Absolutely. Like you said, it's not a film by committee. It's not a set of people telling you what to do. Just come and make your film. And the best of films, I think, in the world were initially made like that. The sequels are made by the committees. So I guess,
There's also something else about releasing the film through Netflix. So many of our films are often categorized by opening weekend, by performance of opening weekend. And it's a really unfair jury of a film. Longevity is the true test of a film. Is it still playing? Does it still speak to an audience 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road? And I've seen many good films be dubbed failures and some have been found later in time and some haven't. Some go away. And I think this is I'm interested to see, removing that aspect, what that does to at least a film's reputation in the early days.
Right. War Machine is based on Michael Hastings' book, The Operators, about General Stanley McChrystal's short and controversial stint during the US invasion of Afghanistan. Brad, you've said that you could identify with the character of the general because he got caught in the trap of hubris, just like a movie star, where you start to believe, and I'm quoting you, your own stink. Shah Rukh, you joked about being a self-absorbed movie star at the recent TED Talk that you gave. Do you see self-absorption as a trap that movie stars often fall into? And how then do you keep it real?
Well, first I'll say, you know, the hubris conversation, I was trying to correlate that to the film in the sense that any mistakes I've made is when you know, I think I have it figured out. And it seems that any mistakes we've made as a country is when we think we have all the answers. And it was that hubris that one has to question for oneself, for any kind of personal evolution, but also what I think we need to constantly be looking at in ourselves as a country to come up with another solution than what we've been doing.
I think, yeah, a certain amount of self-absorption is necessary for any creative person. You know, you're not a machine, war or otherwise, where you're going to just be following what people think should be done. You have to have a free-thinking head. You have to have, you know, poems of your own in your head. You've got to be telling stories that you want, whichever, paintings, whatever. So I think a bit of self-absorption, it seems like it, mainly because, you know, you'd like to say your idea or your thought or your belief or live by it. It can seem self-absorbed, but having said that, I think any kind of self-absorption will lead to eventual, you know, you will be vanquished finally if you're just going to be self-absorbed in a obsessive way. I think a little bit of it is required to be individualistic. Beyond that, no. I think I would really honestly say, having worked with filmmakers all around the country, writers, directors, wonderful actors, meeting them, I don't think they're just one or two like that. I don't think you have too many of them. But it's a good story to talk about, that you're self-obsessed and you're self-absorbed, and that's how movie stars are, you're mad. But I don't think most people are. It's a cliche. I think more often than not, people are wanting to share ideas. You know, you meet someone, and there's always be sharing of ideas and acceptance of somebody's ideas. Otherwise, a director-actor can't work together. Sure. You know, like you said in the very beginning, I'm in your hands. I like to be with people who I have faith in as friends, and you know, and his ideas. He's speaking his language. That really requires a lack of self-absorption. I believe an actor has to be the person who loves himself the least, not the one who loves. For a stardom, yeah, you need to love yourself. So Brad and me are both. We love ourselves the least and love ourselves the most because we're stars and good actors, yeah, sir.
Brad, Shah Rukh, both of you have been at the forefront of major technological changes and advancements in the movie business. I suppose it's only fitting to ask all three of you, as we wrap this up, what are the big foreseeable changes you predict over the next 10 years in the entertainment business?
I don't pretend to know. I don't, you know, I think it is a very, very interesting time, and things are moving very, very fast. We're getting more connected. We're viewing certainly our entertainment in much different ways. I don't know. I usually I live by calling the audible, as we say. We make those calls, you know, at the moment. But I couldn't say. I couldn't say. You?
I would say in an Indian context more, because I think the industry is still kind of newer compared to the West. Yeah, so yeah, technology is going to make a huge play. You know, if you see a wonderful film like Bahubali, and those are the cinema, you know, the event films, so to say, our own superheroes. Right. I think we still haven't made them enough, so they will make a big foray into it. And with platforms like Netflix, and certainly in the last 10 years, like I said, so many new directors and storytellers sprouting all over the country. You know, we have a very big regional cinema also, South and East and West, apart from Hindi-speaking cinema, and it's really huge. And all those directors would get an opportunity to come and tell a story without having to be dependent on, just the few major players, so to say, in Hindi cinema. I think that's extremely exciting. I read things now, and suddenly there's a new director making a small film. Suddenly a set of boys and girls have gotten together. And, I think the next thing is the way the kids are watching films. They're watching them differently. They have comparisons internationally now. It's not just your own film. So I think that all is going to change the way story is told in India. So I think, next 5-7 years, positively speaking, very exciting. It's nice to say that.
Sure.
But I think, I think it's going to change the balance of power as far as filmmakers and film writers go.
David?
I mean, in some ways, I'll be interested to see, in which ways things kind of stay the same. It's like obviously there's a lot of talk going on at the moment about, should films be in theatres and blah, 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 and all this stuff that's been going on at Cannes. And obviously what we're in is a kind of transitional period.
Yeah.
You can feel these kind of these tectonic plates kind of crashing into each other, and stuff will change. And one of the things you hear, especially with streaming services and blah, 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 is that, it's like the shape may change, and there's limited series, and directors can make 6-hour movies and all this. And I have, I'm less concerned about where my movies play or on what kind of screen, blah, blah, blah. What I love more than anything else is the shape of the feature film. It's a movie that is about 2 hours long. I just love I love being able to tell a story in that length of time. I love being able to devote a lot of time to the making of it, the crafting of it. My great hope is just that whatever shape the distribution and the exhibition takes, that just the shape of the movie survives, because I love them. I love them.
I love the way he says 2 hours. We're still trying to get there, make a 2-hour film. Make 3-hour films. Yeah.
You got the 120-day shoots. I'd kill for one of those.
Do you feel like the world will become a smaller place in that there will be an exchange and a crossover? Will we see Brad in a Hindi movie, Shah Rukh, you in a Chinese film? Do you feel like that is the future as well?
Not till I learn to dance and sing.
As long as I know. I think yes, most certainly. I think in the last 10 years itself, you have a lot of Indian actors going and being accepted, even if it's part of diversity angle that America has. But I think it's opening doors. He's from Australia. He's gone and made films there. I'm sure if he likes India, he's visited here. He went for a long walk today. If he likes that walk,
that was a good walk.
It was a good walk. He may come and make a film here. It'll start off like that. Brad shot a film here. Some of the filmmakers will come to shoot film in India, but I think they will understand. They'll see, like we watch all their films, and understand the kind of language they use. Yes, I think. I hate using this word, but this globalization, would happen, most certainly.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, David. Have a great time while you're here in India. Brad, you have your work cut out for you on the next trip. Perhaps Shah Rukh will show you a few dance moves.
Okay. piano. I'm going to learn the piano from him.
Right.
I'll learn the one-hand piano. But really, thank you for being here, and wish you all the best with this film.
No,
genuinely.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you, Rajeev, for talking to us and talking about this film.
Thank you, Shah Rukh. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, David. Thank you very much. Thank you.